Am I the asshole for testing my mill that she's not my actual mother and to stop trying to act like she is? Too long did not read. My mother-in-law is a toxic, narcissistic person and was offended when I said she's not my mother. My mom passed away many years ago, but she was the sweetest person you would ever meet. She was a literal angel and my heart breaks daily that she can't see how far I've come in life since she passed. I could spend all day talking about how wonderful of a person my mother was, but at the same time I could spend all day talking about how horrible of a person my mother-in-law is. I have never met someone more narcissistic and selfish in my life. She's quite wealthy and feels everyone is in her life to do her bidding and everyone should do what she says no matter how wrong she is or you're a failure in life. She feels she can speak to my wife like she's trash and then send an expensive gift just so she can feel hurt that my wife doesn't bend over backwards to thank her for something we never asked for. My wife is the oldest of 4 girls and I think her mother took to an extreme liking to me since I'm the first boy in the family. It could also be that she's alienated her daughters, that they all literally moved away from her as soon as they turned 18 and don't speak to her. At first it was whatever. I thought she was nice and all the stories were just her children being a tad over the top. But then the cracks started to show and I saw the dark side of my mill. She calls me and I don't answer. I get a voicemail of her crying that she needs to talk to me and can't believe I'm not available. She sends me a text asking a random question that I forget to respond to within the hour. I get 20 passive-aggressive follow-up texts about how hurt she is. Now with some backstory out of the way, here's the actual point of this post. She FaceTimed me earlier and was being syrupy sweet for some reason, talking about how excited she was that I actually had the time to answer, and how much she's missed me. After her talking about nothing for about 30 minutes, the conversation finally ended like this. Mill, I'm sure excited about next weekend. Me, oh, what's going on next weekend? Mill, it's Mother's Day. How could you forget it's the day to celebrate your favorite mother? Me, well, if I'm being honest, my mom's dead, so I don't really know when Mother's Day is. Mill, I can't believe you would say that. I'm your mother. Me getting annoyed with the conversation at this point. You're not my mother. You're my wife's mother, but you're definitely not mine. You need to please stop acting like you raised me when you've known me less than 5 years. She hung up on me and not even 5 minutes later she starts bombarding me with texts about how much I hurt her and how inconsiderate I am. But I don't feel bad at all. My wife also thinks it's hilarious because her mom isn't used to someone setting boundaries with her and is throwing a hissy fit. So while I don't regret saying what I said, I am curious if what I said was out of line or if I should have just smiled and agreed with her to keep the peace. Edit, sorry. I realized I left out a part of my response to her. Your wife clearly knows her mother, and your wife enjoys this. Your wife may also somewhat enjoy that you finally see that she and her sisters were right, but you will just have to take that on you, together with the discomfort of seeing what they all tried to tell you, that your mill does not deal well with boundaries. So not the asshole. If you did anything wrong, it was in not listening to your wife and her siblings when they tried to tell you how their mother really is. Why are you allowing her access to your phone at all? There is this magical feature on your phone for people like this, block caller. She is not your mother. She has mental issues you cannot help her with. Save yourself time and reduce her disappointment when you fail to act out her fantasies, by cutting contact. Not the asshole at all. I was skeptical when you said your mill is a narcissist. The word gets used a lot lately. But wow, you found one of the first order. Guilting your wife into accepting abuse. Demanding your time on the phone, on pain of a text barrage. Inviting herself to an event, to be orchestrated by you, for Mother's Day. Calling herself your mother. No, you weren't out of line. Your wife's reaction is proof of that. How does your wife feel about going NC? Not the asshole. Of course. You were honest. And correct. And said something that probably needed to be said a long time ago. My spouse and I recently realized, after being married for years and years, that my mill is a narcissist. I had never encountered anyone like her in my life. I was raised by kind people, so it just never crossed my mind that her manipulation was not actual sincerity. I get how some people might think you could have been nicer about setting your boundaries, but people like my mill don't even really care ultimately about your own feelings. So not the asshole, definitely. In a way, I just lived through your story and wish that was me for a second responding to my own mill. Would I be the asshole for taking ex to court for child support 5 years after we split? I, 37F, have been separated from my ex-husband, 38M, since 2018 and officially divorced since 2021. We were married for 14 years. We have 2 children together, 11 and 14. This is very abbreviated because of the character limit. 4 months before the separation we had bought a farm together, and his mother gifted us $10,000 for the down payment. A couple months after living on the farm I learned boundaries were crossed by him, again. And we agreed that it was time for him to leave. We came to an agreement that he would only have to pay me $150 per month for child support. I didn't want him to struggle while he got back on his feet. We were both low income then. 2019 taxes were reassessed on the farm. I no longer could afford it, so I decided to sell the house. Moved. Ex had no qualms. I thought it was fair that I would pay him back half of the down payment gift and 4 months' worth of equity in the house. So we didn't have to swap money back and forth, I just let him withhold payments. This was the beginning of the pandemic. I had a loss of income, but lower cost of living in the new town plus credit made it doable. I was not able to get any government assistance because I didn't have a child support order through the courts. 2021 divorce is final, we had written in the original child support agreement. I've had many people tell me that him not paying support is bad, but I didn't want to harm him. There were conversations about him paying more, but he insisted that he couldn't. We decided he would make the full 100 Malay drive for swaps instead. I have the kids 78% of time. 2023, we moved in with my current partner. Ex's rent went up and he moved even farther. He started asking me to reconsider the halfway swap again. I feel taken advantage of. I really am doing everything for the kids. He had no interest in helping me. Our son has special needs and in a multitude of therapies. Ex will pay me half of medical things and extracurriculars, but has only paid me one lump in 6 months. He says that I now live in a 2-income household so I can wait. I remind him my partner is not the children's dad. I look at a child support calculator. Last month I finished paying off the farm. I realize he's a federal employee and I can look up his income, and I found he is making $30,000 more than I thought. This means that he has been lying to me for years about his income. My income has also gone up since 2018, but it wasn't until this year that I finally got a promotion that substantially increased my salary. Ex makes $15,000 more. There was a point where he was making double what I was. Now he should be paying me around $1,000 per month. Back then it should have been around $3,000. I told him what I found and he started fighting me. He can't afford it. The first thing he said was, "If you go through the court I will not drive to you." He told me that even the suggestion of going to court has violated his trust. I can't squeeze water out of a rock. I don't buy any of it. WIBTA? Not the asshole. But if you wrote this and read it then still think you are able to manage the best interest of your kids alone when it comes to your ex, then think again. Get a lawyer yesterday and task him to get everything you are owed. Every time you pity him and try to play nice, you are depriving your children. So stop. Sounds like he's been playing you like a violin for a long time. Just file the paperwork with Child Support Service and mute his phone so his calls go to voicemail. It'll suck for a little while because he'll tantrum like a raging 3-year-old. But at the end of the day this is for the kids, not you. The court will not make you drive your kids to him. You will be required to make them available to their dad on whatever time schedule is mandated. Lots of families do agree to split the driving because they want to help facilitate both parents' presence in the kids' lives. But it's rarely ever mandated by the court, so that's just another empty threat from your ex. At a hearing once, I heard a father, who was being awarded custody, state he didn't need child support. The judge, looking over DRFAs, states that money is not for you, it's for the child. If he owes more, then file for a modification. It's for you children, and $300 for 2 kids is insufficient. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. Only if you leave him to keep all the money for his fun. He is enjoying his single life by cutting his children off.